Toys do not have to stress you out. If you have a family room or a playroom that looks like this and you are overwhelmed by it, then your children are definitely overwhelmed by it too. But it's okay. By the end of today, we are going to have this playroom decluttered, tidied up, organized, and most importantly, way more peaceful. Our first step is to gather all the toys from the other rooms as well. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this every time, but for today, we are going to pull everything out of the closet so we have all the toys in one location. I find it sometimes helpful to see all the toys at once occasionally so we can see how overwhelming it really is. It makes it more likely that I'm going to get rid of things. I threw a bubble jar and apparently it wasn't closed. So now we have bubbles. So thankfully it landed in that lid. I moved all the toys I could find to this hard board in our playroom. The board was originally built to be a Lego table so the kids could play with Legos, but they never used it as that. So it ended up being moved to the floor, and now it's meant for them to play like cars and trains on because the rest of the basement's carpeted and that's not as fun. So we just gathered all the toys to put them in one place. I like to think that we are pretty minimal considering that we have 12 children, but this is way more than I thought we had. Maybe it's just because it's all in one giant pile and none of it's really organized very well, but this is a lot. I have a garbage bag with me and I have a box. I don't plan on donating a whole lot in this because the kids will mutiny, but my plan is to create what Dawn from the Minimum Mom calls the time will tell bin. So the idea is that I'm going to put things in this box that I believe the kids won't miss at all. We're going on a trip this summer. After we get back from the trip, if they have not asked for anything in this box within a month, then everything in the box just goes. It's kind of a pre-donation box. I actually tried this once a few months ago, but I put them all in this clear bin and the kids found the bin and ended up pulling everything back out. But I'm going to have to be way more ruthless than I have in the past because this is still way more than I thought we had and way more than I believe we need. So for now, I'm going to set up these bins and use them to sort all the toys into. If you're new here, I'm Emily, the Frogleymom. I have 12 children, ages 18 down to 1. One tricky thing with the toys here is that we have a very wide range of ages. So Matthew is really the oldest one who comes down here on a regular basis, and he's 8. So I have toys in here for an 8-year-old boy, and then I have Anna, Lucy, and Esther, who are 6, 4, and 3. They play down here a lot. And then Gideon is 1. He's almost 2. So we have to have toys for a toddler. We got rid of half of our Trofast shelving units because having that many toys out and accessible all at the same time was way too many. We used to do a really awesome toy rotation when our kids were little and when we lived in a much smaller house and we didn't have a playroom. And that rotation worked really well. We had a couple of bins out in our family room at a time and everything else was stored in a locked closet. That's kind of the idea here, to store everything in this locked closet. Unfortunately, the kids get access to the keys a little too often and end up pulling everything out. So I need to be better about monitoring that. Now that I've sorted through that whole big pile and I have all of these bins sorted, I'm actually going to go through each bin again and make better decisions on what we are keeping for sure and what we can probably put in the time will tell bin. Sometimes as I was sorting really fast, it was hard to make those quick decisions. Some were pretty obvious, but I need to pare these down more. We have 2 huge overflowing bins of stuffed animals. That's probably more than we need. The dress-ups don't actually go in that bin, so I'm not super worried about those being overflowing right now, although I did notice that one of the dresses might have been a little ragged. So I need to double check. Anything that's not in good report, pare, we just don't need to keep. I have a really hard time with Hot Wheels cars and track because Benjamin just doesn't really play with these a whole lot, but they're kind of mostly his. And if I were to get rid of them, he would be really upset. I'm going to try using this bigger bin to see if I can store most of it, even though it's bulky. This horse is beloved. At one point in our decluttering years ago, we got rid of all of our train tracks and all of our trains. The kids just weren't really playing with them a whole lot. And then a couple of years ago, Lucy asked for trains for her birthday. So we just got a really simple set. I'm glad we stuck with the super simple set and didn't go super elaborate when Lucy was asking for trains. Okay, I'm keeping 20 of these cars, which should be plenty. Even if all 5 boys are playing with cars at the same time, that's still 2 cars per hand for each boy. And I'm letting go of 19 smaller cars plus 2 of these slightly bigger cars. This lid is broken because the kids keep stabbing it with the fort building kit pieces. These are cool pipes that get connected with these cool connectors, and the kids can build all sorts of forts and towers and things. They also use them to build swords. Sometimes they've built microphone stands. They're very creative with these. They don't use them a whole lot, and it's usually the older kids who come down and play with them. But when they do build stuff, it's really fun, and they always build a big stable at Christmas time so we can act out the nativity together. You probably don't need the baby toy. Gideon's kind of past all of these chew toy, rattle, crinkle things, which is sad. And I don't feel like I can pass this one on to anyone else because it's really gross. Probably the same with this one. And this is our last Sophie the giraffe. We went smaller for Gideon. And it's adorable, and we love it. But he's really past all of the chew toys. And this one's also really gross. One thing I have noticed about my kids and kitchen things is that they don't actually play with a lot of the food. Like, I think this is supposed to be mustard that you put on a sandwich. I have never once seen a kid like layer a sandwich. These are fun little like tomatoes that you can cut up. They've never put them back together. However, they do play with the dishes, and they do like set up tea parties and things. So I think I'm going to let most of the play food go, like this lettuce that ends up everywhere but never like in a bowl as a pretend salad. So I'm going to let most of the play food go and keep most of the dishes. We'll see what this bin looks like after that. We have so many dolls. I am going to sort these into their super special dolls that really should be up in their bedroom right now, and the dolls that they're okay with their friends playing with. Many years ago, I made a bunch of these cool dress-up capes. They're double-sided, and they have a hood, and then they have this toggle to hold them closed. And the kids wear these and pretend all sorts of things in them. I love open-ended play like that. One thing I have noticed about kid toys is that if I don't make it easy for them, they won't put it away, which means I can't make it so that they have to stack all these things neatly inside this bin. They really have to be allowed to just throw it in. And if it doesn't fit just all thrown in haphazardly, then there's too much. Here is our closet, totally dejunked and organized. Up at the top, we have our fort building kit. Here we have some Legos and Ben's action figure. Most of the Legos are actually in the kids' bedrooms. Here is a crossbow and a bunch of darts that also actually belong in a bedroom. Our 2 bins of dress-ups, our 2 bins of stuffed animals, 2 bins of doll clothes and accessories, 2 bins of dolls. Then we have 1 bin of cars and trains with the Hot Wheels track there, a bin of the play food with the monster right on there, the horse, the smaller animal toys, a couple wooden puzzles, our Duplos are in this bin, and our doll stroller. The rest of this room is totally clean and clear. Still have our play kitchen out. And then out here, we have this bag of garbage. These are empty bins. We ended up with 4 deep and 4 shallow Trofast bins that were totally empty. This black bin is stuff that doesn't belong in the toy room at all, so it just needs to be put away somewhere else. And this is our time will tell quarantine bin. I'm actually going to need another box so that I can properly seal it up so the kids don't get into it. We have 7 deep bins and 7 shallow bins. We could fit 6 of each into this shelving unit here, but that would be a lot of toys out at once. And the more toys are out, the more the kids get overwhelmed, the less they play, and the messier it gets. So to control that a little bit, I'm only going to bring out the toys they specifically ask for. And after we reach 6 bins total, 1 for each section here, then if they want a new bin out, we'll have to put 1 back. So we'll do a 1 in, 1 out for a while, and we'll see how that works this summer. I'm not going to choose which bins to put out first. I'm just going to wait until the kids ask so that I know which ones they actually care about. And it's possible that there are some bins that we won't get out at all for several months, and then it will be easier to tell that it's time to let go of even more. I am really curious, how is your toy storage? Is it super overwhelming? Do you need to declutter? Do you have lots of toys that are meticulously organized? Thank you so much for visiting with us today. Toys don't have to be stressful, and you've totally got this.